the opinion of the Ottawa Police Service that you could not prevent the heavy trucks from going downtown because of the charter rights of those truckers. Was that your understanding of what the Ottawa Police were telling the City of Ottawa officials?
Yes.
And was that a legal opinion that the Ottawa Police obtained?
I don't remember if we obtained a legal opinion on that. I believe this was based on decades of past, experience in managing events, and that we have allowed it in the past, and we're going to again in this case.
Hey folks, William Diaz here with Rebel News, currently at the Library and Archive building in Ottawa for, well, we all know the Emergencies Act Inquiry that is happening from October 13th to November 25th here in our nation's capital. The Public Order Emergency Commission is taking place since back in February, Justin Trudeau used a never-seen-before anti-terrorism law on peaceful protesters that travel from all across the country to come here to Ottawa to protest the federal government's vaccine COVID-19 mandates. And the inquiry is a fail-safe built into the law to prevent authoritarian leaders from using it unnecessarily and unjustifiably. Now, on the 6th day of the commission, on October 20th, we saw witnesses Patricia, Ferguson, and Craig Abrams testify in front of the committee. Ferguson is the acting deputy chief for the Ottawa Police Services. She has served in the force since 1995 and studied criminology at the University of Ottawa. She was in charge of planning the police preparation for the protest that took place back in February once again. Here's what her testimony looked like.
If you brought a minor to this unlawful protest, you could be fined up to $5,000 and potentially spend 5 years in prison, right?
That might be true. I don't remember the exact details, but yeah.
Ferguson stated numerous times that the police believed the protesters were only coming here for the first weekend, which is her excuse for not implementing a long-term plan for the protest.
There were some indicators that they were prepared to come here for a number of weeks, perhaps.
I would agree, yeah.
And at the time of the first weekend, at least at that time, unfortunately, the Ottawa Police Service did not have a contingency plan about how to manage that for several weeks if we had a few hundred trucks parked in downtown Ottawa.
Yeah, we did not.
However, this is a claim that is not supported by the OPP, the Ontario Provincial Police, since they proved that they had intel as early as middle of January, showing that the protesters were here for the long run. They were here to stay for multiple weeks.
Certainly a couple weeks, 3 weeks. I mean, there's just so many variables after a plan meets a response that I can't speak to that. And I didn't know what the plan of the Ottawa Police Service was. So when I say long-term, I'm going to say, certainly a week, probably 2 weeks, etc.
Ferguson also admitted that the Emergencies Act was useful, however, not necessary to deal with the Freedom Convoy.
The threat of seizing assets of bank accounts and rigs and things like that.
Okay. Useful, but not necessary.
Yeah, useful, but not necessary.
The second witness of the day, as I just mentioned earlier, was Craig Abrams, a superintendent from the OPP, and his testimony detailed how disorganized and how chaotic the Ottawa Police Services were.
I really don't know our way out of this. So that was the first indication to me on the 31st that we were going to be in for a long haul to assist them. So I had to prepare my incident command team to kind of switch to say, okay, now we have to switch operations to supporting the Ottawa Police.
Abrams also affirmed that the OPP did not report any violence or criminal activity and that no charges had been laid as the convoy entered our capital city.
Overall, we had no assaults, we had no criminality, wasn't aware of any charges being laid. They said what they would do. They kept to one lane. They entered the city of Ottawa in an orderly fashion. We had minor issues with supporters on the roadside on the 417 getting kind of dangerously close to the side of the highway, which was a concern, but that wasn't convoy. The convoy participants couldn't control that.
At the end of the day, Rebel News invited to our little studio here in Ottawa, Eva Chipyuk, a lawyer who represents Mayor Alicia alongside Keith Wilson to come and talk about the event of the day. Here's how our exchanges went.
Loss of trust is what I heard today, a lot of, and 100%. And, we had truckers and protesters saying, well, the police keep lying to us. They keep telling us one thing and doing something else. Why would we trust them? And like you said, they maintained resolve. They didn't stoop down to any level of disturbance and criminality, which after some time, so much credit to them for staying above and acting the way they were in really freezing conditions too. And a shout out to Ottawa residents, because a lot of Ottawa residents saw that as well. And they came to, as they did before, but then they really came out in full force when they heard and saw fuel was being taken away. And there was a possibility that people would be, freezing in their cars.
So if you want to make sure to stay informed with everything that is going on here in Ottawa from, once again, October 13th to November 25th, you can always head on to truckercommission.com. There you can also support our independent journalism. Thank you for watching. This is William Diaz here with Rebel News. Once again, if you want to help fund our trip here in Ottawa so that we can bring you the other side of the story, because we are some of the only independent media accredited to the inquiry, make sure once again to go to truckercommission.com.